Well, thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you to the organization, too, for bringing me here to introduce you to our company and our philosophy. So, well, 100 Architects is essentially an architecture studio, and we specialize in public spaces and spaces for entertainment. This project started, let's say, 12 years ago, 2013, when the company was set in China, Shanghai. And we started doing something very different than what we do right now. Right now, we have those studios, so we have grown quite a bit, but basically our design muscle is located in Shanghai and also in Dubai. This is our first project, the first project that we did, 2014. And I'm showing it here, not because I'm super proud, I know that it looks like crap, but I want you to see the evolution in this chronological order of the projects and how the philosophy of 100 Architects was born in this moment. So this presentation, I didn't want to do a presentation with the slides. I thought that would be, that's what I always do normally, but this is essentially a chronology throughout the projects that is really quick, but you will see how our architecture has been evolving and the philosophy has been also consolidating. This is not the second project. This is like 3 years apart, but you can see how also the graphics in the floor and the same concepts are applied to this project as well. So what is that we do? Well, we are not your typical architects. We do public spaces, spaces for entertainment, transformation for mega events. We do entertainment hubs. We do really from all scales, from the very small to the very big. We have landscape architects. We have master planning. We have projects that are really large. But we also do street furniture. We also do lamps. We also do street lighting, so on and so forth. So we do all kinds of public spaces, not only real public spaces. We also do privately owned public spaces, spaces that are operated by private entities, but they have the same dynamics than a public space. They call them the POPs, privately owned public spaces, right? We've been working and developing this architecture over the past 10 years. So you can see how over the past 10 years, when you analyze architecture, it's a retroactive action. So you look at what we do now, and you can see that it's probably the manifesto or the ideas that we had 3 years ago. And the same happens with the project that you are seeing on the screen. Those are the projects that we built 5 years ago or 10 years ago, and those are the concepts that we were using back in the day. We work with the concept of play. For us, the concept of play is really important. We believe that everyone wants to play, not only kids. So in our projects, we try to create playgrounds for the city, toys for the city, places that everyone can enjoy. Grandparents, parents, and also kids, of course. The next question that I normally hear is that, are all your projects colorful? Well, not all of them are colorful, but color is a tool, and we use the tool with a purpose, right? Kids aren't what they used to be, and the users in general of public spaces aren't what they used to be in the past. Now we are used to a different level of sensory stimulation. So what we try to do with our architecture is to engage with the user in a much deeper way. We want to engage with the user we want to invite the user to touch, to jump, to climb, to swing, to experience. We want to invite them to take a selfie. So our architecture is all about that. And what are the properties of our architecture? Essentially, there's a few things that you might see that are common to all our projects. Some of them are, for example, fantasy or surprise. We like to surprise. We like to embed with fantasy into our projects because they have strong narratives. So the narratives are something that every single design, every single piece of the design, every lamp, every bench is within this narrative. We also like to say that our projects are pop and controversial. What does it mean that? It's pop because it's easy to digest, it's colorful, it's likable. It's controversial because it's in the public space, it's disruptive. In that regard, we have actually also, it's not that we are against, but in university we are taught that architecture needs to fit in their context, and you really need to kind of blend together in the context. So we on purpose do the opposite. That doesn't mean that the project is not well studied related to the contextual situation, but really we want to have something that is disruptive, that is a break of the monotony on the city. Our projects are embedded with instant functions. So it's what I said before. The projects have a morphology that allows the users to climb, to touch, to slide, and essentially they are super functional in a different way. They are also embedded with technology, most of them. And all in all, they try to create this immersive experience. Actually, I normally say that I like when users in our projects, they feel that they are inside a video game. I like this idea. Why do we do this? Well, there's many reasons, and there's many arguments about this. I could start by the fact that these kind of spaces provide playful learning experiences that are super significant way of learning, especially for young kids, and to gain and to foster social interactions, to gain social skills. But not only that, it's also about the fact that in this moment where technology is replacing our natural meeting places, is replacing the public spaces. So I believe that now is more important than ever to bring people back to the streets, to bring people back to the plaza. We want to, for that mission, we need to reinvent the plaza, because the plaza is not anymore, it's not enough anymore. So we need to compete, in a way we need to compete with an iPad, with technology, so people get attracted back to the plazas and they can also experience the kind of stimulation that people is looking nowadays in public spaces. I believe that we need to work with technology in order to produce architecture that represent the spirit of our time. I love this concept, the spirit of our time. I think that it was coined by Hegel, and every time has a spirit. And when a subject of design embodies the spirit of his time, it becomes an object without time, timeless. So you can see some subjects of design that they embrace the spirit of its time, and they become really timeless objects. And we try to do that. We try to do architecture that embraces the spirit of our time. We don't try to fight against the fact that people is hyper-stimulated and everyone wants to be hyper-stimulated. But instead of that, we produce architecture, public spaces that will provide that opportunity too. We have a lot of different kind of projects, from real estate developers, clients that hire us to differentiate their developments within the market that is saturated, and they can have in their compounds common spaces that are essentially very eye-catching, and like this they can differentiate themselves in the market, as I said. Or we also work with commercial operators. We do projects like this one, that is a project in a commercial space. It's operated by a private entity, but it's in the open area of a retail street. So then also they differentiate themselves in the market, creating an experience, because that's what we do. We create experiences, we sell happiness, and we are in the business of experiences. And then local governments. We also do projects for local governments, and we create city brand identities, creating spaces in the city that will attract tourists, that will create a different experience. This project is a project, for example, that we did for a real estate developer in Nimbo. You can see this transition of projects that I'm showing here. They are all whether in the actual public space. Some of them are in residential compounds. Some others are in commercial areas with retail spaces. Most of them are built. Some others are actually projects that we have proposed and they didn't get to be built, but they help us to also imagine some possibilities for the city of tomorrow, because we believe that our studio is also an experimental lab for the city of tomorrow. So we are essentially experimenting a lot with what we do in order to create spaces for the city that they really act as toys for the city. That's what we like to imagine. So we've been, as I said before, when you analyze architecture, it's a kind of like a retroactive action. Right now, if you look at the projects that we are doing in this very moment, we are doing projects that belong to an absolutely different scale. This project, for example, we did it like 4 years ago, and in Shanghai, there's about 500 of these units. It's the phone booth of Shanghai nowadays. And it's a very tiny object. It's a very tiny object, full of embedded with technology, Wi-Fi, cameras, selfie spots, whatever. Then we have projects like this one that is essentially a revenue-generating project for a shopping mall in Barcelona. There's a kiosk inside, and we create the whole thing with a strong narrative based on the beach called La Barceloneta, right? So you can see it's a very small project, but you can see how the transition between scales goes from the very small to the very big. We also do landscape architecture, of course. We have landscape architects. We do this kind of, all kind of like landscaping related to selection of trees, plants, and design as well, of lighting. So pretty much we do the entire scope of work, but always through the lens of the hyper-stimulation. So our projects always will have some strong image. I like when people look at our projects and they said, wow, that look like something else. There's a pre-existing information that we try to use in the collective imagination of people. So when they look at our projects, they will say like, whoa, it's a orange ring, or it's a blue wave, or sometimes it's even something more iconographic, like for example, it's a rooster, or it's a shower. So that's one of the attributes also of our architecture. We work with really strong concepts. Nowadays, we are working in really large projects, especially in the Middle East. We're working in really, really large projects. Projects that are going to be built in 4 years' time. Some of them are actually under construction, but most of the things that we're working nowadays, they're going to be built in a long, long, long time, because the bigger you grow and the bigger the projects that we do, the timelines are more related to city and government timelines and budgets as well. This project is in a waterfront in Hengqin Island that the government hired us to create something special in a waterfront. That waterfronts are beautiful, right? They are just good because they are in front of the water. But this is like a kilometers-long waterfront. Nothing happens, just looking toward Macau. So we created those capsules in order to create a pause in the monotony. And then it becomes a featured place where people can go hang out. It's not a playground, or maybe it is, but it's a playground for regular people to go and to enjoy and to hang out, right? I think that we just need to discover how people want to play. Kids like to play in a certain way, adults like to play in another way. So how is a playground for an adult? Well, maybe it's a beach club, or maybe it's a kind of like a workout station. So all these kind of things is something that we like to experiment with. Some projects have a stronger narrative and are driven by this stronger narrative, while some others have a more abstract nature, and we work in a more abstract way. This project, for example, is in a compound, in a residential compound in Xi'an, where the Terracotta Army is. And the project is driven by this very, very strong narrative where every single shading structure was also designed related to the theme itself. Also this one is also a very strongly driven project through the narrative of this enchanted forest kind of thing. So we obviously have real trees, but at the same time, artificial trees that they serve other purpose. They are shading structures or they are play equipment. So the idea is to create this environment that is almost like a video game. Like people can come here and hang out. There's ping pong tables, there are seating features, there's different kind of things that will allow not only kids to have fun, but also, people to be stimulated and to enjoy the public space in a different way, in a new kind of way. This is the largest project that we have built so far. It's in Egypt. It was built last year, and it's an entertainment hub. It's massive, in this entertainment hub we design everything. Everything from payments to seating features, commercial spaces, food and beverage tracks, the ribbons that you see that are features for sitting down and kind of like enjoy. So all this was designed in about, 3 months' time, from the moment that we start the project until the project is finalized. It's an entertainment hub in the north coast of Egypt, and it's actually like a fully public, so people can just go inside and enjoy the space as such. And that will be it. Thank you very much.